everyone, welcome to TVP World. I'm Diana Skaya, and we're here in Yerevan in Armenia at the 108th Rose Roth Seminar, part of the NATO Parliamentary Assembly. And my guest here right now is Mr. Ambassador Vasilis Maragos. He is the EU Ambassador to Armenia. Mr. Vasilis, thank you so much for being with us here on TVP World today and here to agreeing to speak to us.
Thank you for the invitation, and thank you for being in Armenia.
Mr. Vasilis, you've been engaged with Armenia for many years, if I'm not wrong. How has your personal knowledge and experience here in Armenia actually shaped the way that you approach your role as EU ambassador here?
Thank you for the question. I think it is very important to note that Armenia is a very important European country, part of the European civilization, with a distinct commitment to our values, to our features. And I think that this is something which facilitates the partnership and makes our work here quite easy. There are many challenges, but I think the fact that we share so many values together, democracy, human rights, you know that Armenia is the first Christian nation in the world, also brings us very close together. And I think this is a framework within which we can work together for the benefit of the Armenian people, but also for making sure that the EU interests and values here in South Caucasus will also be taken care of.
You did mention challenges. What kind of challenges have you personally experienced here?
The challenges that we face in the partnership with Armenia are very similar to the challenges that we face also in other parts of the region, but also in other parts of the world. They have to do with the capacity of our partners, they have to do with the commitments. But on the other side, we should not forget that Armenia has been through a very difficult period from the point of view of security. The people are very concerned about security and peace. Now, hopefully, with agreements to move forward on the peace agenda after the Washington meeting on the 8th of August, which the EU has supported, things are going to go furthermore much more smoother than in the past. But of course, working together on this peace and normalization agenda will be a very important task, not only of our Armenian friends and partners, but also for the whole region and for us in the European Union.
Mr. Ambassador, so far and until now, and until this agreement was signed between Azerbaijan and Armenia, what was the biggest change that you think was implemented here with the help of European partners?
The European Union has embarked on a process of strengthening its relations with Armenia the last 2 years. We have faced a lot of challenges, a lot of opportunities as well. As you know, there is a very noticeable refugee population, which we have supported since the very beginning, since 2023, and the exodus from Nagorno-Karabakh. We are working now with the authorities to help them also on their livelihood, but also we have helped them on the providing psychosocial support in order to find a new life here. We have also helped and continue to help on the reforms on the ground.
So what kind of reforms,
for instance? We have helped the government to set up the Ministry of Interior and to create a new modern Europe-oriented police force, which is actually one of the most visible results of the reforms that the government have introduced. We are also working on supporting businesses, we support infrastructure. All this is changing the way the country is understanding this partnership. Just to give you an example, only the last year or so, the European Investment Bank has invested more than 200 million in private sector projects here in Armenia.
In Armenia? Wow.
And this has created only in 2024 more than 17,000 new jobs in the economy. So we continue working now. As you know, last year President von der Leyen presented a resilience and growth plan for Armenia, 270 million. We had the visit of Commissioner Kos, who is responsible for this region last weekend. She has announced the second part of this plan. Part of it is going to be used for strengthening the resilience, economic, energy, connectivity resilience of Armenia, and part of it is going to be used for the continuation of reforms. And we are talking about justice reforms, we're talking about reforms in the area of civil aviation, in the area of energy, in the area of transport, and these are things which actually change the life of people on the ground.
Speaking of people on the ground, I want to ask you about also the Comprehensive and Enhanced Partnership Agreement. What is that exactly?
This is an agreement which was signed back in 2017. It entered into force after the ratification of the member states in 2021. And it is foreseeing a number of reforms in areas which are affected by European standards. Just to give you an example, recently we have, following reforms which have been implemented by Armenia, we have introduced the provision that Armenian fish products can enter the European markets after they have fulfilled European standards. Another area which is covered by this comprehensive agreement, which actually is very, very much encompassing all the issues of our cooperation, is Armenia's participation in the International Criminal Court, which they have done through the ratification of the Rome Statute back in 2 years ago. But it also covers other areas. It covers standards in the area of transport, in the area of energy, in the area of consumer protection, in the area of protection of personal data. And actually, we are now working on using this agreement, the full potential of this agreement, through a new partnership agenda. The negotiations on a new partnership agenda have been finalized, and we expect to present and adopt it in the next period, in the next couple of weeks, as already has been announced. Part of this enhanced new partnership agenda is also our cooperation in the area of security. We had a visit of High Representative Kallas in the beginning of the summer, in which we have announced a new agreement with Armenia in the area of the participation in crisis management missions of the European Union. This is also part of this, if you like, enhanced new agenda. But probably the most visible example of our engagement may be the opening of a visa liberalization dialogue. As you know, Armenian citizens to travel to the EU for short trips, they still need visas.
Yes.
Through the visa liberalization dialogue and through the reforms which will be foreseen there, we are going to offer the opportunity, once these reforms are implemented, for the Armenian citizens to come to the EU without visas, which will enhance people-to-people contacts and which will bring actually Armenia much closer to the European Union.
How do you think, how soon could this actually, this kind of reform be implemented?
It depends on the reforms which will be implemented by the Armenian government. But I have to say that on both sides, both the European side and the Armenian side, there is a very strong commitment for this process to succeed, so that we see the result of this, which will be the visa-free travel, as soon as possible.
Mr. Vasilis, with everything that you've mentioned here and the closeness of ties and flourishing relations with the EU and with Armenia, but let's talk about Russia for a moment. Have you also witnessed now, do you think that now Armenia can slowly stop depending on Russia? Because let's be honest, Moscow has been a big guarantor for Russia for years.
I'm not so sure about that. This depends very much on the Armenian authorities. We are here to support the Armenian government and the Armenian authorities to take the decisions which are in the interest of their own country. It is very, very important to say that the partnership between EU and Armenia is not against anybody. It is for peace and normalization in the region, and I'm sure that all the partners who mean well for Armenia will appreciate that this is something on which the Armenian state can take their own decisions, and we are here to support them.
And the fact that this NATO Parliamentary Assembly takes place in Armenia, how important would you say that this is for the region here? I mean, for the first time, I believe for the first time, we are seeing a Turkish delegation. A delegation from Azerbaijan is here, and Armenians are sitting together and debating the future security policies and the entire future vision that they have for the South Caucasus. This is something that we've almost never witnessed before.
I think that Armenia is pursuing a multi-vector international policy, so the strengthening of relations with the European Union is also going hand in hand with strengthening of relations with other partners. I think this is strengthening Armenia, and from my perspective, it is very welcome to see people from the region, including from the countries that you mentioned, to be in Armenia, to discuss with our partners, because in reality, the aspirations we all have, the aspirations for peaceful coexistence and for connectivity and good neighborly relations are those which can be shared by all the partners. And we should not forget the European Union has been, from the very beginning, a peace project, which has started after the Second World War in Europe. And I think that this historical experience could be also used when we're talking about peace and normalization in South Caucasus.
And my final question to you, Mr. Ambassador, how do you see Armenia's possible integration towards the EU path and NATO, just very, very briefly?
There are aspirations in Armenia when it comes to these issues. At the end of the day, it is up to the Armenian government, to Armenian democratic institutions and the Armenian people to define how to deal with all those challenges or aspirations. From our side, I have to say that when it comes to European integration, there are very strict rules. It's a consensus-based process. It requires the approval of all the member states, but this is certainly something on which the Armenian state will have to reflect very deeply how to move forward and what it will be. But let me also stress that the European Union-Armenia relations have never been as strong as they are now, and we are working together in order to make this partnership sustainable, lasting, but also to work for the resilience and the democratic reforms in Armenia.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vasilis Maragos, the EU Ambassador in Armenia, for being with us here on TVP World today.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. I'm Diana Skaya, and we're live here in Yerevan, Armenia.